Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about the upcoming Hercules live action movie. This has been in the works for a while, and it looks like with the success of Lilo and Stitch, they're going to keep pumping out these remakes, which I can't say I'm a huge fan of, but I guess Disney's going to just keep focusing on what they can plan to make money with. So it is what it is. So this article is discussing the success of Lilo and Stitch and how that's going to affect Hercules and other live action remakes going forward. There were a lot of talks about the live action Hercules, like whether they're going to stay true to the original source material from Disney specifically, or if they were going to change it up and focus on like Hades, for example, because having these remakes that focus on the villain has been a popular trend for Disney too, like with Maleficent or Cruella, and I actually think it could work for Hades just because he does have so much lore to pull from, like with the original Greek mythology, but it doesn't look like they're going that route, specifically because of Lilo and Stitch, so we'll get into it now. The Lilo and Stitch live action remake success has caused a ripple effect of sorts, leading to some changed plans for Disney's planned Hercules remake. In a recent Q&A session from Diz Insider, a fan asked if reports of Hercules live action remake focusing more on Hades was true. Skylar Schuler notes that while various creative paths were originally discussed, the general plan right now is for the movie to be a faithful adaptation of the original animated project. So I'm a big fan of the original Hercules from Disney, but it is very much its own thing, separate from Greek mythology. Granted, a lot of Greek mythology isn't actually family friendly, so when making a movie for general audiences, they probably do have to take a lot of liberties, like Zeus and Hera being a happily married couple, and Zeus being a doting father, which was very much not the case in the original, but it makes for a nice story for a Disney movie. However, in this case, it does seem like Lilo and Stitch was a major factor in why they're choosing to stick to the original, which they note here. The reason for this, the report notes, is due to Lilo and Stitch's success and controversy. Not only did the film get praised for sticking mostly to the original, but fans were also a bit upset that it deviated when it came to the ending. Which is true, the first half or so of Lilo and Stitch is pretty faithful to the original. They did add a few more scenes that, in my opinion, weren't all that necessary, but more or less it was true to the original. However, there were major changes, particularly with what happens with Nani in the end, where the original was all about them staying together and how hard they were fighting to stay together, Nani and Lilo. But in the live action remake, they had it so Nani was really focused on going to college, and she ultimately gives up custody of Lilo to a neighbor so that way she can go to out of state to California to study. And many people, myself included, took issue with that because of the original film's big emphasis on Ohana and the concept of Ohana, and her going off to college just seemed like it went against that, along with there being other routes that Nani probably could have taken to still get an education and stay with Lilo. And now it seems like they're worried that if they stray too far from the original Hercules or these other movies, they'll get the same kind of controversy as Lilo and Stitch. And considering the fact that Disney is a profit-driven company, they're probably going to try to do what's the safest to make sure that they can get as much return on investment as possible. And I understand that, but I still wish that they would focus on, original movies or maybe movies that underperformed originally at the box office. Like Treasure Planet, for example, it's a really great movie, but it's so underrated and Disney really kind of just forgets it exists. And it would be really cool to see whether it's it would be really cool to see them do something with that. Granted, I would prefer a sequel or maybe a show or something instead of a live action remake, but they could probably just re-release the movie in theaters and people would go to see that. You can still market it as being nostalgic the way they do these remakes. I'm just saying. But let's get back to the article. The Q&A session also saw questions asked about the status of the Tangled remake. That remake looked like it was being put on hold because of the failure of Snow White, which is obviously a princess movie, but it looks like with the success of Lilo and Stitch that is back on the table. But Schuler notes that the movie is still in the works, and with Lilo and Stitch being as successful as it was, Disney could be more open to bringing the project back. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. The report also noted that films like Aladdin 2, Maleficent 3, Jungle Book 2, and Queen of Hearts have all been shelved. I'm surprised Aladdin, considering the fact that that movie did make $1 billion at the box office. Granted, that was quite a while ago at this point, but yeah, I remember Aladdin and Jungle Book were both pretty successful successful, Aladdin in particular. Alice in Wonderland was also pretty successful for Disney, so I'm surprised that they also shelved a spin-off with that movie. But regardless, it looks like it is what it is, and they're going to focus on what they believe will be best for their bottom dollar, which I guess is Hercules and Tangled. Originally released in 1997, Hercules was directed by John Musker and Ron Clements, and stars Tate Donovan, Danny DeVito, James Wood, and Susan Egan. The film tells the story of Hercules growing up into the hero he is, all while learning his place in Mount Olympus and battling his uncle Hades. The film was a massive success and is often regarded as one of Disney's best animated movies. My dad would take such issue with that because he hates this movie. He's a big Greek mythology nerd, and he was mad that it wasn't faithful to the original myth, but you know, the original myth is not family friendly, so he literally kills his family in that myth. But honestly, it was really successful at the time, and it is beloved, so I'm not surprised they want to bring it back. But in total, Hercules earned more than $250 million in the box office revenue during its run, and again, that's in 90s money, so that's more impressive than it sounds. So yeah, that's basically where we're at right now when it comes to these live action remakes, at least for these specific ones. I heard people saying that they want Danny DeVito back for Phil, and I do think it would be cool if we could get some recurring cast members from the original. That was, in my opinion, one of the best parts of, for example, the How to Train Your Dragon remake, which was another very faithful remake, which was more or less a shot-for-shot remake of the original. But it looks like they're not slowing down anytime soon, and they're going to keep pumping these out, for better or for worse, including having sequels of these live-action remakes. Like Lilo and Stitch was recently announced to be having a sequel to that film, and they've already had sequels like for Maleficent and also for the Lion King live-action remake. I guess that was technically a prequel, actually. But yeah. But where do you stand with these remakes? Do you think there's any potential with them, or do you think they're just cash grabs? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to our members: Tyrant Carnivore, Shiny Orc Boy, Depth Charge Media, Samaru163, Gabby Hime, Verdant Range, JVR, Equestron, Norman Sweet Cream, Way Beyond Coincidence, Hunter Rose, 80s Nostalgia Guy, Felix Bam, Lucas Geist, J Draws, Meowsers, Sky, Philip, Isaac Martinez, Garcia XV Legend, Tobias Weller, Bandito Bane, Mac B909, Dakari the Professor, Todd McCaffrey, Omni Fair, Cavalcoj, Strider Exile, Phil C, Killer Bomb, Slawa Saporiguez, Entwined Boot 301, Griffin of Might, Frankie Camarillo, Datadyne Executive, Crimson Phantom, Jin the Goblin, Papa Hud 69, The Gengar King, Daunter, G-Rock, and Chaos Jumper. Thank you for the support, and if you want to become a member, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. We also have Buy Me Coffee if you want to support us that way. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and that part's free. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.